Hello there, my name's Nicola and welcome back to my channel. This is the Frugal Cottage, where we talk all things money to help you on your financial journey. Today's video is all about the recession that is now in place in the UK, what that actually means for your money and maybe what you should think about doing in the meantime. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let's get started. So, we are now officially in a recession in the UK. What does that actually mean? So, in short, it means that the GDP has reduced in 2 quarters in succession. So the GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product, and it measures the economic success of a country based on spending and the value of exports that we do. Just a couple of factors in how they calculate basically what our economy is worth, and it has reduced since January basically. So figures show that between January and March it fell by 2.2%, and from April to June it fell 20.4%, which is the biggest fall on record. So from January to June our economic worth as a country has reduced dramatically. Now what does that mean for you and your money? So unfortunately the number one kind of thing here to look out for in terms of what a recession might mean for you are job losses. So one of the main things they talked about in the news is the fact that unfortunately redundancies might be on the cards for a lot of people. It does depend on the sector that you work in. Obviously some are much more impacted by this than others. The Bank of England predicts that unemployment rates in the UK will have doubled by the end of 2020, and that's quite a scary figure. Unemployment has gone down recently, but that's not going to stay the same. So one of the things to be wary of is job losses because of the recession, for no other reason other than that. The second thing to be wary of is that there might be another credit crunch. So when the 2008 recession happened, lots of kind of banks and other lenders really tightened up on their lending to people. You can see already that this is happening, so it basically means that it will not be as easy to borrow money from the banks. So there are already fewer 0% deals to be found. 90 and 95% mortgages have been withdrawn, so you need a bigger deposit to begin with. There are stricter lending criteria for lots of different groups now, including self-employed people and for first-time buyers. So if you're looking to buy a house for the first time, your lending criteria for the mortgage will be stricter than perhaps it has been already, and you potentially will need a bigger deposit. And that's just so that the banks basically don't end up losing out if you are unable to pay that, and also it will kind of help you to not get into such big trouble if for whatever reason your income is lowered. Fewer deals, so if you have credit card debt, sometimes you can get a 0% credit card and transfer that. There are fewer of those around, so just be wary on your terms of lending as well. In terms of loans and credit card debt, that might change, so just keep an eye on that. But definitely we will see a tightening up of the lending of money to others. Another thing to watch out for is that there might be negative interest rates, and if you have any kind of savings, that will have a huge knock-on effect. Now interest rates on savings are really low anyway, so lots of like high street banks have 0.05% interest on savings rates, which is, you know, is nothing. However, if negative interest rates come into play, banks might actually charge you to have your savings at the bank. So just be aware of that. That hasn't happened before, but if this recession goes on for a long time, that might be something that comes into play. It's not like we get a lot of interest on savings anyway, so if you've got your emergency fund in an easy access savings account, which is where it should be, the interest paid on that is so ridiculously small that actually in terms of that probably wouldn't notice anything, but it's the knock-on effect of a negative interest rate there. They've not said that's going to happen, but it's something to be wary of. So the biggest thing is, what can you be doing with your money to help you in this uncertain time? The first one, and this is something that we're actively working on now and have been actually since the start of lockdown, the first one is to build up your emergency fund if you are able. If there are job losses looming, and you know, none of us really know if that will affect our job or not, although there are, like I said, certain sectors which are probably higher at risk of this. But if they are kind of looming and it might be you, the biggest thing you can do to help your finances in the meantime is to build up that emergency fund, so that if the unfortunate thing of losing your job happens, you have some money set aside to help you in exactly that scenario. So emergency fund can help pay for your mortgage, it can help pay for your fixed expenses that you cannot get out of. I am actively working on getting our emergency fund up to 6 months fully funded. Now it's going to take a long time because it's, until this point, hasn't been a priority, but maybe it should be for all of us to build that up slightly more if you are able. Now I realise if money is already tight, then trying to put extra money aside to that can be really difficult, but just try your best so that you have the peace of mind that you have that money to fall back on if you need it. And let's hope that we don't need to use that for that, but the pressure to suddenly find a new job when everybody, it will feel like, is also trying to find a new job is such less if you have those savings to back you up, even for just a month. If that's what you can manage, it is better than nothing, and it gives you that bit of time to play with and figure things out if you are faced with that. And obviously if you are faced with that, hopefully you would get redundancy pay as well, but that depends on a lot of factors as well, so don't always count on that. But definitely try and build up your emergency fund as point number 1. Point number 2 in terms of what you should do with your money is go over your budget carefully. If you don't already, you need to start tracking your incomings and outgoings so that you know what's coming in and what goes out. I use a budget planner for mine, which I'll leave a link below to. Use that, or use a spreadsheet, or use an app. Whatever you find works for you, use that to just be more knowledgeable about your finances. If you don't already, obviously you might do already, and that's great, but definitely track your incomings and outgoings, because if necessary you can see places where that might be able to be cut back on if you need to. And that moves on to point number 3. So at this time you need to prioritise your spending. So it might be that you kind of cut back on certain areas just so that you can put that extra bit of money into your emergency fund. Be more mindful about where your money is going, and is it going to the right place? Are you spending it in areas that will help you or not in the long run? It takes a bit of a mindset shift to prioritise where your money is going, but over time, especially with the uncertainty at the moment, really kind of scaling back on maybe those impulse purchases or the kind of things that you might see online and buy because someone else has got it, all that kind of thing. Just be more mindful about where your money is actually going at this point. Point number 4 is to maybe look for opportunities to make money from home. Now I've got a couple of videos about this which I'll leave a link below for, but see if you've got anything kind of lying around your house that you no longer need. Get that on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. Be starting to think about how you can bring in just that bit of extra money to take the pressure off. Even if you bring in that extra money and then put it into your emergency fund, because at the moment everything's fairly stable, that will help you in the long run. Plus you're getting rid of stuff you no longer need, all those kind of things. So look for extra opportunities. Like I said, I'll leave a link below to a couple of videos I have about that if you want to check those out after this one. And the final point to make is, when will we get out of this recession in the UK? The short answer is nobody knows. So estimates say that it could go on till 2024, to when the economy is back to the level that it was before this all happened. And the recession in the UK is directly linked to COVID-19, so to the coronavirus. And the estimates for 2024 are based around the fact that if that continues just to be steady and stable, if there is a second wave of the coronavirus and we go back into another lockdown, then things might take longer. But essentially nobody knows what that's going to do. In terms of how we build back to normal, nobody knows, do they? Which is sometimes a bit scary, because when it happened before in 2008, there were kind of reasons for that and you could build on that and bounce that, but because of the COVID-19, which is such an unknown, it's a lot harder to predict when this will be all over, so to speak. But that is my roundup for the UK recession, what it actually means, what you need to look out for, and the things you should start doing with your money if you are able. Hopefully will mean that you have a slightly smoother ride through this time. Do you have any other tips to recommend to people? Let me know down in the comments below so that other people can read them and maybe give other ideas that I haven't thought of. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you're all still okay at home, and I'll see you again very soon.